In the last few hours, the family of British military veteran James Kirby, one of the 3 former British soldiers turned aid deliverers killed in Gaza by an Israeli strike, have been speaking.
He was selfless. He would help anybody, and this is one of the reasons he felt he had to go and work with World Central Kitchen. He knew he had to go and help people, and that was James all over. He just didn't think of himself, and I think on his past experiences of going to Afghanistan and Bosnia, he knew the dangers. He was no fool in that regard, but he just knew he had to help people.
As you heard, Kirby served in tours of Bosnia and Afghanistan and was killed alongside 2 other Brits, Royal Marine James Henderson and former SBS soldier John Chapman, who were there to provide security to World Central Kitchen, the charity who were targeted by the IDF in the attack, which has seen global condemnation of the Israeli state at the highest levels of even the most allied of nations. Here's the Foreign Secretary David Cameron.
The dreadful events of the last 2 days are a moment when we should mourn the loss of these brave humanitarian workers, including the 3 British citizens that tragically were killed. We should also send our condolences to their families, and our thoughts should be with them. I welcome what the Israeli Foreign Minister said yesterday to me about a full, urgent and transparent inquiry into how this dreadful event was allowed to happen.
Lord Cameron. Sources in the British government are quoted as suggesting the UK could suspend arms sales to Israel once all the facts are known. To be honest, the British government wasn't slow to act to withdraw funding from UNRWA when allegations were made about their staff members. They didn't wait for an investigation to happen there. There isn't a justification Israel can give for this, is there? That 3 British servicemen who put their lives on the line in protection of this country may have been killed by a drone manufactured in the UK and sold to the Israelis is appalling. That is a possibility that cannot be allowed to continue. So it's time now that the UK told Netanyahu that unless there is an immediate pause in the fighting, today, now, there can be no more arms sales. Stop the fighting now, or we stop the arms. That should be the position of the British government this afternoon. We'll speak to a former national security advisor in just a moment. First, Francesca Albanese is UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories. Thank you very much indeed for coming on the programme. You have said that there are reasonable grounds to indicate that Israel is committing a genocide. Briefly, what are those reasonable grounds?
Hi, Tom. Briefly, the reasonable grounds are in the very way Israel is conducting its assault in Gaza, which has resulted in mass killing of civilians. 70% of the victims are women and children. And I would like to remind everyone that 175 UN staff out of a total of 195 aid workers have been killed. So this disgraceful, this horrific tragedy that took place against WCK, it's part of a pattern of conduct. And this is the thing. I've analyzed how Israel has killed, creating conditions that would make life impossible and inflicted severe bodily and mental harm as an overall pattern of genocidal intent, because Israel has justified all what it has done in Gaza as uprooting Hamas, but in fact it has considered every civilian killable and every civil piece of.
Well, you are. Why are you in a position to go further than the ICJ, who say there are plausible arguments for genocide? You say that you believe that the threshold of genocide has been met. What do you know that the world's top court currently doesn't know?
Well, I'm not in a better or worse position than the ICJ. I'm an independent expert who has investigated for the past 5 months what Israel has been doing in Gaza, especially as of January, when after South Africa instituted proceedings against Israel before the International Court of Justice. The ICJ has not looked at the merit of the matter. I have, and this is why I concluded what I concluded.
So the top court isn't as definitive as you are. Presumably you accept that there are scholars of genocide who disagree that Israel is committing genocide too.
Well, first of all, again, the court has not pronounced itself on the merits. The court, in a urgent proceeding, declared that there was the plausibility of genocide. So it's much closer to what I'm saying than not, and has repeatedly issued measures, including asking Israel, this recently on March 2028, including asking Israel not to commit a genocidal act, including by preventing the humanitarian aid and relief, which is precisely what Israel is doing. It's starving an entire population.
I see you say that there are reasonable grounds, which isn't dissimilar to what the court is saying, that there are plausible arguments. But you say that the threshold for committing a genocide has been met, and the court clearly is neither mandated nor is saying that. So again, I come back to the
court has not looked at the merit yet. The court will, and
you
then
think the court will find genocide?
I believe so, but it's not. I mean, I don't want to anticipate what the court will say. I think that with the colossal evidence of crimes and patterns of conduct, because what is critical in genocide is the intent to destroy people in whole or in part. And here, the natural scale of atrocities are demonstrably capable of achieving a genocidal outcome. There is evidence of a context, patterns of purposeful action, which in other cases, international jurisprudence has found that in similar circumstances, no other inference can be reasonably drawn, and then there is genocidal intent.
You will know that there are plenty of people who see your work and your name attached to the work and say that you are biased. They cite the fact that in 2014 you said that the US was subjugated by the Jewish lobby, that the Israeli lobby was inside the BBC's veins, and that Israeli greed was to blame for the BBC's coverage of the conflict in 2014. Might people not have reasonable grounds to conclude that you believed those things?
Okay, first of all, I would like that as a special rapporteur, my work is considered, whether biased or not, for what I bring to the table. Never my findings have been challenged. Can we stay focused on the question of Palestine? There was a full file on me before the Human Rights Council, and nevertheless, the Human Rights Council never thought that I was not suitable for the post. So why at every interview this issue that I said Jewish lobby is to be brought back? Does it make me partial? No, I've always been aware and very committed aware of and committed on issues of justice and human rights in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territory.
But you don't
mean that I'm anti-Israel. I just think that Israel cannot commit war crimes, crimes against humanity.
I agree, of course. But you don't believe, do you, that the US is subjugated by the Jewish lobby?
Well, I wouldn't say Jewish lobby today, but there is a huge pro-Israel lobby that is very influential in the United States. Now, the fact that in 2014, at the highest peak of what was then the most lethal war against Gaza, I bashed the pro-Israel lobby clearly with a misnomer. Sure, it's a mistake. I mean, I regretted that expression because it's clearly not just Jewish people. It's a full plethora of actors. And in fact, there are many Jewish Americans who are against what Israel is doing with the support of the United States.